Are you surprised the price of Bitcoin hasn't spiked earlier? Because like everyone and their mother is buying. Like there's like every week there's a new major company that says it's part of their treasury strategy. You know, Abu Dhabi Investment Fund just reported 400 million of the ETF they bought. I mean, so many bullish things, and yet the price has taken its sweet time to come up here. That must surprise you because Bitcoiners are typically holders as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I just made a show earlier before this interview, and I forget who it was off the top of my head. I think it was, I don't know if it was Marathon Digital or one of the other companies. I think it was in Japan. They were, or maybe it was a new one. I don't remember. But one of these companies started acquiring Bitcoin, and the stock price pumped 90% overnight. They had to actually halt trading because it was getting too hot. I mean, their demand is there. And it just goes to show you that people who aren't buying Bitcoin directly want exposure to Bitcoin companies. You know, every time that a new company starts doing the micro strategy or strategy and Sailor strategy, every time a new company does that, it's just one more powerful entity constantly bidding on Bitcoin and adding it to their treasury reserves, where they don't plan on trading it and trying to sell the top, right? They understand that's going to be volatile, and they have a 10, 20, 30-year horizon. In fact, if you're buying gold before it becomes a global reserve currency, then you're probably never selling the gold, right? You're keeping it as a reserve on your balance sheet because you believe that's going to be what's going to cement in your financial your financial status as a company. So am I surprised? Not really. I'm not surprised because of the uncertainties that's been happening in the market. So we had, this, it didn't help that you had the Trump coin and then the Melania coin, the Argentina coin, and the countries, creating these meme coins. But then you had massive geopolitical instability since January 20th. I mean, the tariffs and the wars and this and that, and the Fed, Jerome Powell and JP Morgan saying the recession's coming and all this. I mean, massive geopolitical uncertainty. And we're starting to see clarity coming, and we're starting to see that the tariffs are back, at least in a pause. The wars have seemed to halted or are coming to a pause or a ceasefire. And so right now, it makes sense. If you follow the geopolitical news and macro news, then it seems to make sense. Like that's what I talk about daily on my channel. And so I'm not really surprised, but I'm glad that it's happening.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside I view is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.
Obviously.
You didn't give me a quarter and you didn't give me a price.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll tell you what, I'll throw you a little lifeline and then I'll ask you again. You mentioned the super cycle. I was talking to Michael Turpin, who made his 11th consecutive appearance at Satoshi Roundtable in January. I think you were there in January, I think.
The year before.
You were there the year before. That's when I met you. I saw you there too. And I had a call with Turpin talking about something else, and he walked me through his whole hypothesis. And he said 180K Bitcoin plus or minus 30K in Q4. He said that's if we stick on the cycle and don't go into the super cycle, which is a possibility. So maybe you can tell me what you think your call is, or what you think some of the people you interviewed that you rate highly are saying.
So I think that we go into 2026. I think that we go into 2026, and I think that we probably, I think that we probably go somewhere in the 250K region in 2026. I agree though with Turpin. If we end up not going into a super cycle, then it follows every other 4-year cycle where the end Q4 happens and we're below 250K at that point. But like I said before, I can't imagine a world where these things that I mentioned don't happen. And so, I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised, because if you understand supply shock, it's always talked about. Every 4-year cycle reminds us that that Bitcoin is very scarce. And when you understand just how much is being taken off the market every single day, then you really understand that eventually, when these dominoes start to fall and nations start buying it, it's one thing that BlackRock has bought it. And yeah, nations like Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund have bought into the BlackRock ETF, and other ones we find out here and there are too. But eventually they're going to hold it. They're going to self-custody it, right? They're not going to own it through the ETF. They want to hold it the same way they hold gold. And when that happens, I think that we go into a super cycle. And so if that happens, I wouldn't be surprised to see $1 million Bitcoin, by the end of 2027.
So it's just a super cycle. It just elongates that cycle and turns a 4-year cycle maybe into a 6-year cycle, which means higher highs for a longer period.
Yeah.
And makes some other unknowns.
Right. And I don't think that I believe the days of an 80% correction in Bitcoin are probably behind us. I don't think it goes to $1 million and comes back to, then comes back to 200,000 in a bear market. I don't think those days are gone anymore. I think that right now what you're seeing for the first time in history, and that's why we can't compare it to any prior cycles, is adoption. It's always been speculation before. It's found its use case, product market fit on a global level. It's never happened before. It just happened this year. And so when that happens, Bitcoin is inevitably going to do what it does and become less volatile, like gold, where everybody who wants to acquire it has, and then eventually people just start spending it and using it because it's not so volatile anymore. And that's when it becomes, pretty boring at that point.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.